Anywho, so, yeah. We should both be audible. We should, yeah, I am streaming. Okay, oh.
But you're already live?
I have to turn that off. And this is so silly. This is so silly. Where is the off topic? Go into Ray's server and do the amazing content ping thing, so as she recommended. I don't know, we're just gonna do silly. Anyway.
Silly.
Yeah, silly. It's a bit silly. Okay, so we're going to quickly pull up the summary, no, the stream manager. That's all we need. But yeah, we are going to be streaming. This is so silly. This is so silly. I don't know. I'm just a silly little guy. I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know what's going on with. I'm also noticing how loud my fan is in the background. I don't know how loud that is. But
I need to make it through my first.
Too loud.
Hold
And
on.
yes, I did.
I think it
right.
wants me to.
There's a Ray.
Character.
Hi, Ray.
What?
Hello. We're doing a silly. There's also a rose dot. I'm going to be introducing her to Dinkum because it's a bit fun.
Wow.
And we're just going to have a bit of a silly time because why not? We only need one more stream with 4 average viewers, with 3 average viewers to get affiliate. So why not try get it quickly? Because it's fun and silly and stupid and yeah. And I'm all over the place because this was not expected. But yeah. How are you doing, Ray? How's your morning been? Okay, so we're also going to start a new Dinkum recording. So we're going to make a world. So I've got Dinkum up and I get to make my character quickly. I'm just going to like rush making a character.
It wants me to get through the first day before I can even get into multiplayer.
Oh, once you get it through the first day. Damn. Well.
Yeah.
Enjoy, Rose.
Wow. What if I just speedrun it?
You can do it. And what should our island be named? The Flower Patch? The Flower Bed?
Sure, if you want.
Oh. Ray, do you have a
God, why is
recommendation?
Dinkum lore so depressive? Hello?
What's Dinkum what?
Why is Dinkum lore so depressing?
Oh, yeah.
Whoa, airship. Would be
Hi,
great.
Jade.
Um,
We've already got a lovely little group here. We've got the wonderful Jade and Ray currently. How are you both doing?
Whoa.
Hi. Tee. Okay, I love that, Jade. I love the fact that that got immediately that got what's the word? Gosh damn it, what's the word for it?
What was it? Was it flagged by Automod?
Yeah, it's flagged by Automod. Jade wants us to name the island Idiot Isle.
Oh my god.
Activity feed? I've got that ready. What the heck? I don't understand Twitch properly. I don't know.
Wow.
I don't even know what I'm doing. I have no audio, but I'll be hanging out lurking. Lucky. Well, welcome to stream.
Fair
I hope
enough.
you all have a lovely time. And yeah, welcome to just chill. So we're gonna name it Idiot Isle. Apparently, according to Jade, we should name it Idiot Isle, which is interesting. Do you want Idiot Isle, Rose?
You know? Yeah. Guess we might as well.
Idiot Isle. Jade just put a little like celebration in my chat. Celebrate.
Yeah.
Can you see the chat?
Jake. Yeah, I have your stream open on my phone.
Ah, yes. Oh, I have it too. I have the thing too. No, Rose, I know what it is. Yeah, we're going through the
What?
lore again. So we have to go through all of it. If we were doing it off mine, then basically it would be multiplayer and then I just pull you through into this. Like, I could invite you straight into it. I think.
Ah.
Yeah. My old home, Idiot Isle.
Ah, yes.
Yes, because that's smart. I just want to double check. We're speedrunning getting out of this because why not? Hi, can we please leave? You leave for Idiot Isle today. We're like speedrunning to get through this little like segment because why not? And yeah, this is so silly. Oh my gosh, they're lurking. You do realize, Rose, if I got like when I get affiliate, I'm just gonna be messaging Loon again, just like, hi Loon, how are you? Teehee. Okay, so all passengers prepare to leave airship. Okay, I'm just casually waiting. Huh. Hi Fletch. We landed. I'll tell you what. I'm glad that we accompany me on the adventure mini. I just tell you, yeah, basically. We're getting it started. We're just gonna speed run through Fletch because we don't want to listen to Fletch. I know that a little bit. Oh my gosh. I have to go to the store now. I'll be back. Okay.
Run at the store.
Yeah, see ya. I'm literally just speedrunning the text. Oh, I got the base 10 as well. An island map. Okay, settings? I know to do this. I know how to do this. Thank you. I think it is literally going to do that, where it's like it's forcing me to do the first day on my own. What the heck?
That's crazy. Find something to eat.
Okay, I think... I'm going to place the base tent literally at the thingy. Like right at the dock. So absolutely perfect. Our new home on Idiot Isle. Thank you so much. Oh, and I guess I have a tent for you too. I know it's not much, but it's a place to call home. Plenty of ground to spread out, so please take your time. You'll probably visit the base tent a fair bit, so keep that in mind when you're looking for a spot to claim as your own. I'll be inside the base tent. Come and speak to me once you've placed your tent. I'm speedrunning getting us into the beginning, because otherwise the morning won't start.
Yeah.
I just know I'm getting some wood, because that helps. Ooh, there's some dogs nearby. There's some dogs, but also I know that she'll ask me for fruit. Something to eat. So I can just speed run quickly, getting... There's a doggo. We have a doggo thing right here. There's some wild diggos nearby. What's the map generation like anyway? Ooh, this is a good map generation. I like this. So we've got a lot of bushland.
I'm still trying to find food.
You're still trying to get food. Damn.
Yes.
No,
because I don't think you can eat these flowers.
No, you can't eat the flowers, but you can eat food.
Wait.
I'm in the way. It's just like, someone's in the way. Yes, I am, you silly. Yes. Base 10 is placed. There's nothing in the mail. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Let us go and see if we can get to talk to Fletch. Fletch is happy. I know it's not much, but it's a new home. I'll tell you what. You've got that spark, Minnie. What the heck?
Whoa.
Yeah, just getting through this first little bit. Okay, so I have to go to this. No, wait, that's Jade already said that. Gosh damn it. I read that I have to go to the store bit again. Because, I don't know, my chat, it's like, this is new. And it's like, no, it's not. We've got so many diggos so close by. Damn. I was looking at the diggos, just like, if there's a rare diggo on the first day, I'm going to be so upset. Okay, we'll set up the base tent next to... I'm basically just setting it up, because why not?
Yeah. Okay, I got a sleeping bag, so I should be able to, you know...
Sleep at mine. Yeah, sleep in this world.
I should be able to sleep in my world to get through the mandatory tutorial.
Yes, to get through the tutorial. We get the father's book. Yeah, the adventurer's journal. Feed the father's milestones. I'm literally speed running what she's saying. I'm literally just like constantly because I'm just trying to speed run so we can actually play together.
Okay, I've done the first day. So let's see if
yeah, and I'm rushing to get the first day over. Okay, so currently, what is the current objective she wants? Talk to Fletch. Find something to eat. I've already gotten something to eat, so I talked to Fletch. Here's a gift. She gifts us some stones. So that means we can make a campfire. Yes.
Wow.
Put the campfire up here. I'm cooking.
Oh, I didn't even have to
limes.
place it. I could just make it and then talk to Fletch again.
Oh, because is there an actual, like... There's no task, so...
No.
I'm very impressed. I think it's a great feature here. Here's a gift for helping me out so much. It's a bug net. I think you should use the rest of the day off. Maybe catch some bugs. Maybe cook the food. Let's do... take the sleeping bag. When you're tired, just pop in it. I'm still giggling at the fact that we named this place Idiot Isle because, you know, silly. Also, there is an auto-sorting thing in this game. It auto-sorts your inventory. So useful.
Nice.
I just catch some bugs. While you wait for the day to end, I just catch some bugs and get some supplies. Because it's silly. Oh, that's where that is. Going to mark out that doggo. This is where the diggo's
Puppy.
at. I'm gonna mark the diggo out with a bed. Teehee. Oh, we might also get Santa, by the way.
Silly.
Oh, there's a shark. Place sleeping bag and rest until tomorrow. Oh! I can just sleep. I'm an idiot. I'm a nugget. Go ahead, sleep until tomorrow. Someone is visiting the island. And this is also when I can... Oh, I now know what's going on. I've found you. Quit to main menu. Quit to main menu. Because I've saved the game. Because I'll make it public. Like, I'll make it multiplayer. Idiot Isle. Friends only. Host game. Let's work on this. Inviting. I'm hoping that isn't visible. Cool. It should have invited you via Steam, so you'd be able to get into this game. Hopefully.
I did accept the invitation, but nothing's happening.
You might need to close the game and reopen it.
Let's try that. Also, why does it say I have... No, never mind. It's fine.
What's going on?
No, it showed me getting the first achievement twice for some reason.
Oh. That is odd.
On the Steam page.
Mm-hmm. We mark things out as well because smart cookies. There's so many poppies. It's like there's so many digger dens right here.
Mm-hmm. If the game would like to lock in, please, that would be appreciated.
Please lock in game. That'd be so lovely. It would be
There
so
we go.
awesome. It'd be so cool
Yeah,
if you weren't such a toad to Rose. There's a sign. I can apparently face through the sign.
Can you try sending another invite?
Pardon?
Perchance?
Oh, resend the
Can you
invite.
try sending another invite? Yes.
There you go. Oh, had a little lag spike.
There we go.
There we go. Hi, Rose.
Well, it is I.
The rosedotpng.
I'm here now.
I am.
Wow.
You will see that we also have markers on ourselves, so we can actually find each other easily.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't said hello to John, by the way. I just waited. I was just like, I'm just gonna wait.
What is John the Yellow Tent?
Yes.
Oh yeah. What if I go say hi to him instead?
Technically, I would count towards your achievements, then I would also meet him in a second.
Huh.
Hi, Rose. It's a rose.
Whoa. That's crazy.
And yes, I am collecting literally everything, because everything can be sold. Not everything can be bought. I'm not kidding, that is something that sometimes you get with the loading screen. You just get...
Oh my god.
Oh! Digger. This digger just killed a magpie.
Who?
The digger over here just killed a magpie. This guy.
The Circle of Life.
Damn. Okay.
I think. I mean, this is Australia, right? Things are gonna kill each other.
Yeah. Show me. Thanks for getting that. Just getting through all of this. Have you already talked to John? Yeah?
No.
You haven't talked to John. Why didn't you talk to John yet?
As soon as I got as soon as I got the fucking like sleeping bag, I just
Paste it.
did the like sleeping thing.
Let's see. Okay. What is the... Want to chat? What do you want to chat about? Need anything? Okay. Have you got your things? Because if you want... I'm curious if they're going to ask if you're going to get requests too. Or did you get the same request?
I did not get a request, no. So let me
Go
see.
talk to him. Go talk to him and ask if he needs anything. Because it means that we have
Feel free to ask me about anything you're interested in.
Yeah, need to ask him anything. He asked me for a blue moon butterfly.
Yeah.
Licenses? No, I don't. Licenses
It didn't
in
give me.
North City.
It didn't give me the option.
You weren't given the option. Damn.
Yeah, I can sell goods. I wanted to chat around goods. I don't have anything else.
No, you say I want to chat.
You have a coconut you don't want anymore.
Tell me
Brother,
exactly-
don't sell it for 600 when I only have 250. Brother. Was the price too high? Yeah, fucking maybe.
Wait, no. Wait, no, shit. Rose, I can already complete my quest of, like, he asked for a blue moon butterfly. Wanted to chat. What do you want to chat about? Here you go. Oh, you brought me a blue moon butterfly. Always pull through for me. Why don't I give you this exchange? He gave me a pair of holiday shorts. F you. Apparently, you're a prick. Gosh damn it. Rose, do you want holiday shorts? No! Gosh damn it.
Where are you? Oh, I mean, I don't know if they're much different than the shorts I'm wearing right now, but... Oh,
Holiday
wait.
shorts. Enjoy.
Whoa.
I had a grasshopper and
That's
I
crazy.
released it.
Got the orange fit, let's go.
Yay. Okay. As you can see, butterflies. I've got 2 of these. I can sell the second one to John.
Yeah.
Or we could just leave them.
Right.
Because once we get, what's his name? Theodore, we can just sell them, give them straight to him and get a bunch of permit points.
Oh, I need to talk to Fletch. Whoops.
Yeah, talk to Fletch.
I need to make money to buy a table saw.
Yes. I got 1,900 bucks from selling the things, the little trinkets I just had, which gave me all sort of achievement, which helps. And I can get me a basic pickaxe. There we go.
Okay, yeah, so Fletch gave me 2,500, and I still need a little bit more.
What did Fletch offer to do? I don't even think she offered me anything to do.
Fletch just offered to cover half the expenses for the fucking table saw.
Damn, dude. Fletch. Can you be like a doll and let me have some things too? Oh, Rose.
What's up?
She just gave me the 2,500 dinks. Do you have 2,500 dinks?
Yeah.
Okay, Rose, I'm gonna do this. It's so silly. One thing we can do,
Uh-huh.
take that.
Oh.
Go buy the table saw from him. We just go to the system and glitched it so we could just get the table saw.
Oh my god.
I love that so much.
Okay, I
So
bought
silly.
it.
Yay. Still a bit to go. Okay, keep it up. Okay, I can't talk to her. You need to buy the table saw. Like, can I hold the table saw for a second? Because otherwise it's not gonna...
Yeah, no.
Yeah, because then I could talk to her. Because basically, they're not
Jesus
registering that we
Christ.
both are working together. Which I find is so
Mm.
funny. This is so silly.
Let's see, how do you... Wait, we want it to be outside.
You have to press
there
the
we go.
cube. Hey, Fletch. I didn't do anything.
I mean, they gave you the money.
Yeah.
But we are both broke now, so...
Yeah, we're completely broke. But we have wood.
True.
I have a bunch of logs on me, so we can literally start like using these. Yeah, so start using them, because if I look in here, like if I look in the recipes, we can make a few things, and like, yeah, it just takes some time. We can make a dunny straight away. Do we want to talk about? Want to apply for? I'm ready. I think camping is fun, but if we're going to convince people to stay, we've got to build more permanent structures. A lot of tin ore. 1 campfire, 3 stone, 10 tin ore.
How much?
Okay. 1 campfire, 3 stone, 10 tin ore. I've got 2. Apply for the mining license. Do you have money?
1 campfire, 3... I have
Do you have-
1,000. We also have a spare campfire, by the way, but
Oh, yeah. Okay, so we've
we
got the
need to make another
campfire.
one anyway. We'll need another one anyway, because we need 2, because we're 2 people.
But it might work with 1. I don't know. I'm just basically picking up a bunch of things so we can like sell to John. And also I'm labeling things as we find new points. The tropics is just there. I'd be curious to go past the tropics. Gosh damn it. Let me catch that thing.
You might have to gather the stone materials for both of us, because I cannot buy the pickaxe because you did.
Oi.
So I think you're gonna have to do it for both of us.
We only need it once though. Because the second we've got it
Well,
once,
you said
then we'll
yourself. We have this. We have to separate mission progress.
We're talking to Fletch.
Yeah.
I could do it, yeah. Okay, give me a second then. This
Well, here's the thing. You're gonna have to, because I can't. I cannot buy the pickaxe. Like it's sold out. I cannot.
Oh my gosh, it's done that. Yay. That's wonderful. Do you want to explore?
Yeah. So I'm.
Because I'm curious. If you go to the tropics, because there'll be cassowaries, I'm very curious if you would get the access to the idea of getting the eggs, because they are accessible through spring.
Uh-huh.
Oh, and there's a...
And there's a lot of dogs here. Jesus.
Yeah, there's a few doggo dens, and that's really useful.
Direction. Yeah.
Okay, so I've got the stone. I've got the stone for both of us. Honestly, if you want, we could just explore for a little bit.
Yeah, probably. There's a Christmas jackalope.
Oh, there's a Christmas jackalope, yeah.
Tropics.
I'm just collecting random things. If you collect seashells, you'll get so many permit points so quickly. Like, I've already collected 50 and so gotten another 100 permit points, so... Level up. So, if you see seashells, collect them, because also you can sell them to John. And also you can get a bunch of these and, like, use them. Just keep them on hand, and then you can actually just like sell them whenever.
Yeah.
Okay, and that is one of the towers is like right next to us too, which is pretty handy. If you see a Tassie Devil, do not go near
Oh,
it.
on the face.
By what?
Fucking emu-looking thing.
Oh, cassowary.
Yes. Holy shit, bananas. What's this? Rupu.
We
Yeah,
can also...
that.
The Rupu is useful when we get a composter, because then we can make fertilizer with it and make crops grow faster. We won't need it for a while, but it's always good to collect it.
I found bananas.
The bananas we can actually plant and make more trees. So
Man,
very useful.
I'll take those.
As you can tell, I am marking down where all of the diggos are, the everything, because why not?
Mm-hmm.
And
Bananas.
Bananas.
Got like 10 of them already. There's so many banana trees here.
Yeah, well, that's good because it means we're getting a lot of food. We can plant a lot of them when we get a shovel. And then with that, we can, like, get a consistent food supply of just bananas. And we can cook them for more stamina.
Yippee. Got the fucking, potassium diets.
Exactly.
Let's see, is there any interesting beach, tropics.
Oh yeah, you're also marking these? No.
No, because I figured we could just plant these elsewhere, but...
No, I've been marking the things
forest.
as I've been going. So... I thought you were doing that too. Ooh.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, that's good.
Is it that way? It is this way. Okay. There's apparently a tiny, tiny pine forest biome.
Wait, how small is it and where is it?
It's up north.
Oh, fun.
It's like surrounded by tropics as well. No, it's surrounded by plains and a little bit of tropics. Which I think is kind of funny.
Mm-hmm.
I try to avoid the big evil bird.
The big evil bird.
Yes.
Stop moving! Talking to the cricket. Got doggos.
Let's see this.
Okay, I've got a lot of tin. I'm just gonna still collect a bunch. Oh, we've got bananas right here as well.
Okay, yeah, no, hold on. There's like, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 9 fucking pine trees here. Oh, apples.
You found apples. Nice.
And I also found one of those big fucking things.
The big F. What thing are you talking about?
The things that look like hamsters, but like 50 times as big.
Oh, the Vumble?
Yeah.
You're like, I
Probably.
think, maybe. Right, where are you?
Okay, I found locations for eggs. I'm way up north.
Yeah, I see. I see where you are.
So the stars to pine forest egg is where the nests are.
The star is where the eggs are.
The egg is where the eggs are. The stars for the...
Oh, the
was
pine
for my own
forest. I
visual
see.
reference.
Yep.
Yeah.
The beds I've been using for the doggos, the diggo dens, and the fruit is for fruit trees. Like the kiwi, the everything like that. That's like a method I've been using. Also, if you see pearls, if you see like a little glint in the water, they may be pearls in clams. So grab those and mark where they are because they sell for a lot from John. Like you can get a few
Okay.
thousand pretty quickly. Very useful.
Those jellyfish?
If there's jellyfish, they will try to attack you. They are hostile. Just as a warning. Oh, there's a crocodile.
Oh joy. Oh hey, a barrel. Let's see, what are you? A Kwandong. Interesting.
I'm sorry, but the way you said that is really like oh my gosh.
How are you supposed to say it? You
I don't know.
like I'm just reading what it said. It says Kwandong with a Q.
Yeah. Fair. There's a
Cacti.
jackaroo. I found a pine forest where I am. There's more pine down south. So if you look where I
Oh
am
yeah,
on the
there's
map, you can actually
also
see.
small forests. Where are you? Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
so if
over
you look
there.
on the map, you can actually see I'm a bit south. Over
Yeah,
here and
the southwest part of the island is primarily pine, mixed with a little bit of desert. I don't know if
yes.
you...
Catching a lot of butterflies.
See, there's tiny pine forests.
I would love if I could like, walk efficiently. Please. I beg. Oh, I haven't got any more room for a blue moon butterfly. Gosh damn. Switch that.
My
Done.
cat's begging for attention.
Oh, baby. The little baby.
Hello. Hi, baby. Hi.
The baby. The baby.
It's a little baby.
I have not looked
It's
to
a
see if
little
you put
baby.
your face cam or anything on. I just know that you've got
I haven't.
a null. Yeah, I just know you've got a kitty. I'll just say I have not looked at your like I've not looked over on Discord or anything. I keep seeing Jade's animated lurk gif and I'm like, oh, new message. No, it's just Jade's message is animated.
Yeah.
Got a little mangrove over here, that's useful.
I also have one, but it's not animated.
And very soon I could be commissioning your girlfriend again for emotes. Potentially.
Wow.
Okay, out of all the people I have, like out of all the commissions people I could do, like, the communication, the attention your girlfriend gave, I'm just like, yeah, I trust Loon. I trust Loon. Communication, everything was just perfect, and I'm like, yeah, I trust that.
Me. They are pretty cool like that. Yeah.
Ash, shoot.
anything up here? Nope. A lot of ores in this area, though.
Ooh, mark it, because I can come and grab them. And they sometimes respawn after a while.
There you go.
Awesome.
I think I just watched a murder happen. Oh god. The circle of life.
I'm sorry, but hearing you just go, the circle of life, do 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 the circle of life.
Oh,
Silly.
cactus figs, silly.
Yeah, cactus figs are very useful. I'm coming
Do you want me to
over.
mark the specific location, or
Well, not really, just
because
like
they're
they're
kind of
good
everywhere
fruit.
in this desert?
Oh yeah, they are everywhere, so don't worry. The fruit trees in particular, like obviously eggs has its own marker, so just like mark where the eggs are. So it means when spring comes around, we know exactly where the eggs are
Mm-hmm.
because they sell
Oh no, I did.
so much. They sell for so much.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I did. Don't worry. I haven't found any other ones, but you know.
As you can see though, I have been marking every fruit tree. PC, please stop
More
giving me
bananas.
notifications because I can just hear the ding, 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 ding on my PC. Like, please shut up.
There we go.
Oh my
More
gosh,
egg
I'm gonna
location.
removing Bluetooth from my head from that because it is just pinging.
Oh,
Ooh, pretty. I got a swallowtail butterfly. Ooh.
I got a largidae. Whatever that is.
Okay, I'm marking the pearls with X's, by the way. Release that spare fly I
Okay.
have. Yeah, if you see a galenta in the
Oh, I
water,
gotta go
you
the other.
found a pearl.
I have not seen any glint in the water.
Yeah, but if you like see a little shiny thing in the water, you've most likely found a pearl. Also, if it starts raining meteors, we need to be keeping an eye on particular meteors. Because if we got a meteorite this early in the game,
Okay.
that'd be insane.
Bird.
Bird? Big bird.
Not the evil kind.
Oh. I got a firefly.
Wow.
I've got so many seashells because you can sell them. And also you do get a lot of quests where they're like, oh, I like this many of this seashell. And you're just like, I already have them. By the way, I've already found the North Tower for the... I'm just going to put a star on it. That is...
What is that? I have
What's what?
no fucking clue. Big animal just kind of vibing in the water.
What, a shark?
No. It's definitely not a fish.
Oh, describe what it looks like. I might be able to tell you what it is.
It has like a very it's very thick. It's kind of like a almost like a beak-like mouth. Um,
A beak-like mouth.
it's definitely a mammal though.
I'm
It's
confused.
don't worry about it.
Rosedotpng.
T. Why did it do that?
By the way, when it hits midnight, it will be late, and that will be when basically time goes to a standstill. But we will have like what's the word for it?
Uh-huh.
No, what's the word for it? Gosh damn it. My brain's lagging. But we'll have lot less energy, and it will be like just a lot less energy. Basically, is the main thing. Like that's the main concern we'll have. Our energy will be less, and so therefore. Ooh, welcome back from the stops, Jade. Welcome back. We have finally actually gotten into the Dinkum game where we're
Right.
actually playing together.
Also, I think we only have one sleeping bag.
Did you not bring your sleeping bag?
Because mine is no,
Did
because
you
I had
leave
to
your...
skip my own night to like get access to the character. I just never picked it back up.
That means we can't sleep, Rose. Rose, it means we can't sleep! Oh
So
no!
if I quit the main menu, join my own world, pick up the sleeping bag, and then join back here, it should be fine, right? Make sure you want to quickly lose our progress from the last time we slept.
Yes, you would lose your progress. I would not necessarily lose mine.
What if I just give you everything I picked up?
I was about to say you could technically do that. What the hell? Is this map generation over here? Interesting.
It's going silly mode.
There's like a crater. Okay, let me try something. You have how much money? None. You have absolutely zero?
I have 1,000 money ish.
Rose. Go to Fletcher's tent.
What? Uh-huh.
Because you can
I'm
buy
here.
a sleeping bag. If she's awake.
She, in fact, is not.
Where is she?
Oh, never mind.
Yeah, just go to the sleeping bags and then ask her, like tap on the sleeping bags because they will hopefully say, like, to buy another sleeping bag, it will cost this much.
It wants me to collect the items before I can buy a sleeping bag.
Oh, the items that we needed for Fletch.
The campfire, stone, and tin ore.
I'm coming back. We got given a second campfire, so you already have one, yeah?
Yeah, I have it on me, yeah.
Cool. Okay, pick up the other campfire. You do that by pressing E. Just pick up that campfire, because then we'll have 2. What the hell? Oh, there's a crocodile right there. I was wondering why the music started playing. I was like, why is the music playing? Oh, there's a croc right next to me. Casually. Okay, on my way back. Slowly. It's gonna take a hot second. Whee! Whee! Hi, Rose. We've
Oh,
got
hi.
we've got a lot of insects.
Wow.
Don't want that. I want
Okay.
this. I'm just making a collection of insects.
Also, let me. Um.
Now I'll recognize that maybe I've collected one.
Put that down. Put this down.
Whoa.
I collected a little bit.
Yeah, so have I. You can also just, Rose, go into your inventory, click and drag, and then you just let go of them all. Still going.
Wait, no, that's the wrong shorts. Shit.
Oh my gosh, Rose.
It's fine.
Okay, so
It's fine. It's fine. Just hold on to it for me.
3 there.
Okay, I'll be back.
Did you pick up any of the shit that I just... Rose,
No.
come
No.
back. We're gonna
I
fix
need to
this.
get the sleeping bag.
Girl.
I'm just gonna pick it up and then you're gonna invite me again and I'm coming back.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, I'm gonna talk to Fletch.
Okay.
I have tin. Where? Gosh, you picked up the campfire, didn't you?
No, I dropped everything.
I have to... Rose, you realize I have to go through all of your things. Do I pick it all up? Are you saying I pick
Yes.
it all up?
Sure.
Hoy! Okay, there we go. Yep, she was asking for... She was trying to make a crude furnace.
Teehee.
Okay. Did you get the thing? Have you gotten your thingy?
I think so. Yes, I do. Fletch, let me buy this fucking sleeping bag, please.
Girl. Are you in your world?
Yeah.
Pick it up. Press E to pick it up. To put it in your inventory.
Yeah, but I still need to save.
But well, then put it down. Okay, so one of us just died on Discord. Who just died? Seriously? I died. What the heck just happened? I don't know. I don't know what just happened. Okay, so Rose, you have your sleeping bag
Uh-huh.
in your world.
Uh-huh.
Okay. I'm inviting you back in. Use the world you're in to accept the invite. If you need to put down your sleeping bag and pick it up again, do that. I don't know what to do from there. I need the... It was the 2... It was 10... I think?
Yeah, no, shut up.
17. It's 10...
They just straight up
3.
didn't let me join either from here, so I was going strong, guys. Going so,
Ah!
so strong.
Okay, let me try sleep, and then I'll reinvite you. Cool. Sleep until tomorrow.
Uh-huh.
Save the progress. Gosh damn it. Yeah, why not? I went to level 5 for foraging. Do you?
I don't know. I can't really check right now.
Okay, anyway, let's continue. I'll reinvite you to the world. John is gonna keep
Okay.
visiting the island. He doesn't leave. Oh. Okay. Does that
I love how
work?
when I accept the invite, it just opens a multiplayer tab and then doesn't do anything else. So you might have to just resend it yet again.
Have you closed the game? Or...
No.
Please hold for technical difficulties. Ba 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 ba
Wow.
ba 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 ba.
Active Steam connections. Yeah, I know. Fucking game, please. Let me in, please.
Do I have to reload the game to let you in?
I mean, you probably don't. I probably do. Oh, guys. Going strong.
Yay. Ow! I got poisoned. Rose, I got poisoned.
Oh. Why did you do that? That's not good for you.
Uh,
Teehee?
yeah. Did you get the invite back?
No.
Gosh damn it.
Hold on, though.
Because I invited you, so I don't understand what's going on there.
Game's just being silly.
I sell all the shells. Rose, you had the leftover money in your inventory.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sure it'll be fine. If it wants to fucking function.
Oh, there's a rose.
Oh. Okay.
You're just in the corner. Hi.
I still don't.
Do you still not have a sleeping bag?
Yeah.
I have money to buy it now. Do you have your thing, like the money still?
I have 2,700 right now.
Well, at least you have the
Because
money
it
still.
didn't save me. It didn't save me actually buying the
Yeah.
table saw, so it still considers me in the same position that I was in like
Ready
earlier.
to go. And campfire.
Oh
Ready
yeah,
to go.
speaking of,
How?
because I was in the safe state from when I first started, I had the spare campfire on me, so we just have another one.
We've just accidentally duplicated items. Damn.
Yeah.
Teehee. If you need to buy buy a tent, the sleeping bag, I can get it now.
For a crude furnace. Wow.
I'm. I was just wanting to get a sleeping bag. Why are you talking to me?
Yeah, that's what like my issue as well was like it straight up doesn't let you buy anything.
Okay, so she's trying to get us to craft things. Those are the spare sleeping bags I keep around. I'll tell you what, they come in handy. Do you need one mini? Yes, please. All right, then I'll take one. It's all yours. Oh, I can just. Oh, I can just take one. Oh, we can just take them infinitely. There you
Oh,
go. I got two. Oh,
wow.
look, Rose.
We're balling.
I could just. We could have multiple friends. Look at that. Look inside.
Script. Wow.
Oh, that's so stupid. Yep. Have you made your crude fantasy as well?
Yeah, but it wasn't necessary for the thing apparently.
Ooh, I'm gonna apply for some licenses because I've got the points. I want to apply for a license. Let's talk. Let's do. What do you think would be a good idea? Hunting, farming. Honestly, farming equipment could be really useful. Getting farms started early. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay, we can get a grain mill. We can get lots of different things. Fishing?
My cat is just like fully spread it over my desk.
You
Oh
can.
my god.
I love that. Fishing. I'm just getting all the licenses at this point.
Tin bar. Wow.
I got the simple bridges one because that could be pretty useful to have. Just cause.
Mm-hmm.
Why not? We could just start crafting bridges everywhere. Need cement for those though. You could make a dunny.
Yummy. Yummy cement.
Please don't say yummy about cement, goodness.
Tea.
Gosh damn it, you got John busy. Talking to Fletch now.
Tea.
let's talk about the town. Let's see what exactly can I help you with. Can I see the deeds? Okay. Let's do the bulletin board because... And this can actually get us some money quickly. Yes, do it. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, we're starting on the bulletin board. Let's go.
Complete favors for John. Spend things or sell items in John's tent. Convince him to move in.
Yes.
What if I just sold him the furnace?
You could. Everything in Dinkum can be bought, basically. Everything can be bought, but not everything. No, everything can be sold, but not everything can be bought. Damn, I can't put it up here. That's annoying. Okay, where do we want the bulletin board? Do we just want it at the dock? We can
Sure.
move it easily. Okay, we've got a bulletin board. Well, the bulletin board announcement is easy, and also it's the third day. The first of summer is Fletcher's birthday, by the way, and John's birthday is in May or June. Not May or June. I think it's in spring or autumn. I need to make. I need to make a axe. I bought the axe. Teehee.
Nala, baby, I love you, but that's my armpits.
What is Nella doing?
She has this thing where occasionally she will try to like nuzzle into my armpits really, really aggressively.
Interesting. Nala,
I
what
don't
the
know why.
heck?
She'll like lick my arm, like
Oh.
grab onto it, so I can't just pull her away.
Teehee. Currently. Oh, that was really fast. Oh my goodness.
Hmm.
Why is... My goodness. What is going on? My internet's being a tad silly on my computer. The main computer.
Oh no.
No, not my laptop, the computer. Just the computer. Currently, it's just us chilling here.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's, yeah. Why is my character so sleepy? By tomorrow, we will start getting a bunch of, like, bulletin board things, including, like, the Christmas things. So we might get some cherries that way. We could, of course, then sell cherries.
Wow.
Oh, I'm so sleepy. My character's, like, barely awake.
Oh fun. Thanks,
Oh, she's
Jonathan.
barely awake. Jonathan?
Yeah. Damn, I wish you could add stuff to the calendar. That would have been really funny.
Oh, that would be interesting.
Oh wait, hold.
Hi. You've got a nice little insect hole over there. I love that. I've got a cooking fruit achievement, the hot fruit.
Wow, I got nails.
You got nails. Beautiful.
I just need wood.
Beautiful. Why'd you dump your pants?
Because I got the superior one now.
You can place them.
No.
Oh, hello. Dan. I don't understand what you mean by this is where you live right here? You're currently playing Dinkum? I do not
Oh.
understand that statement. Do you want to quickly clarify?
Oh.
In chat.
What happened?
Look in my chat.
Is that
There's-
again there? Oh, it's not fully updated for me. Maybe if I
Yeah.
open it on...
I'm very curious as to what you mean right there. Dan.
Oh, no, that's Andon. That's my Australian friend.
Oh, it's Andon!
I
Hi,
was like, who the fuck
Andon.
is Dandon? That's
It's
my
pronounced
buddy.
Andon.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I'm an absolute nugget. Please excusez-moi. Hi, Andon. Yes, hi, welcome. I was so confused, as you could tell. I was like, Dan, what the hell do you mean, Dan? Oh, there's a crocodile. And yes, I live here too, sir. I live here too. But yes, I got the rosedotpng playing Dinkum.
Wow.
So she's getting welcomed to our country. But yes, that was Minnie being a dummy. Oop, thank you. 10 ore. Oh,
I got a termite nest. Wow.
Ooh.
Oh.
Fire ant noises. Oh my goodness.
Shiny stone.
Oh, keep those. Trust me on that. Just keep them.
Okay.
Basically, when we get a stone grinder, they can be ground down, and we could potentially get things like iron and tin and copper, all from that. Yeah.
Silly.
Yeah, that's silly, but really good. Anyway, how are you going to Hendon? Because that just threw me off so much. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. It's a bit silly. I'm a
Just a
bit
smidge.
silly. That's good. Glad you're doing well, mate. Shut up.
I do think you guys live on opposite sides of the country, but yeah.
I think. Yeah, if you live, it's currently 1 a.m. That is definitely opposite sides of the country. Cause it's like 4 a.m. No, it's like 9 p.m., 10 p.m. for me. That's 4 or 5 hours ahead.
Yeah, it might be a good idea to sleep.
Maybe,
And
maybe,
just maybe.
Yeah, definitely a little smidgy. Maybe. Could be.
I don't know if they're in Perth, but
They are definitely. I am on that side of Australia, yes. I can specify
wait, is
later. I don't want to
Perth
specify
like,
online, basically. Perth is a city.
is
Perth is a
Perth?
major city.
Oh, okay.
Perth is a major city
I
of
was just
Western
thinking like
Australia.
if it's like
But I am in Western Australia.
what are the regions called? Not provinces, but like what are they called?
Province.
You know what I mean, right? Like how the United States has, you know, states and then Netherlands has provinces, like like if the
We have
country
states,
then
yeah.
you have
We have states, and then we have
okay.
like we have the capital cities. Like we have the
Okay,
states,
yeah.
and then we have capital cities, yeah. But yes, I'm
Yeah.
Like, I'll specify off stream, but I just kind of want to keep specifics off stream just in case I ever had more people, so keeping in that kind of habit. I don't know. Yeah. But yes, Western Australia does exist, actually, Andon. I do want to correct you. He's just going, I don't even think it exists. It does exist. I live here, sir. My good sir. No.
My good sir.
No.
Ooh, there's another butterfly.
Ooh, pretty. There's no Eastern
Ulysses
Australia.
butterfly.
There's no
Really?
Eastern Australia. You do realize you're an Australian Eastern Daylight Time, right?
But there's no Eastern Australia. No, I
There's
think
no
he's kind of
East.
implying that since
No
if there's
Eastern
no
Australia. There's no
West, you
Western
know.
Australia. No, I get what I get what you're saying, Andon. But also understand that my state is the size of the entire other side of Australia. Like,
Yeah.
like my state is
Scarlet
big.
Jezebel. Interesting. I don't know
There's
what
South
that means.
Australia, Western Australia, Northern Territory. Yet, actually, that is a good point. There is no Eastern Australia. There's a southern
Oh.
territory. No, there's southern South Australia, Northern territories, and Western Australia, but there's no Eastern Australia.
Huh.
Which is actually a very good point now that I'm thinking of it. Now that I'm thinking about that, yeah, like apparently your side had class to go, let's make multiple states and actually give us some unique names. Victoria, New South Wales, Queensland, ACT, because we couldn't decide where the hell was the capital. So we had to make a capital territory. Yes, that is the main reason ACT and Canberra exist.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. A lot of Australia had been settled by
Australia
then.
lore.
No, Australia had been settled by then, like a lot of it. We didn't yet have a capital. And so they're like, oh. Yeah, basically. And the capital city does get a whole state to itself. Because like I think it was Melbourne and Brisbane arguing back and forth. No, the capital should be here. The capital should be there. No, back and forth. Constantly. And then in the end the government just went, we're making Canberra. It's going to live in the Australian Capital Territory, and you're all going to shut up now.
Crazy.
I was crazy once.
Wow.
The silence. I thought I was just going to hear the disconnect sound from you disconnecting from the call. Being like, yeah, no, I'm not dealing with this.
That would have been funny.
I'd have cried. I'm getting us something very useful, which is the bottle tree wood, which we can get now. And the interesting thing about the bottle tree wood is that this is how we get hardwood. New South Wales gets. What do we mean New South Wales gets to have it? Because ACT is in New South Wales, isn't it? Is that correct? When is this? Oh. Got to actually collect that. Oopsie. Yeah, that makes sense. They're just like, New South Wales, your state is too big. You don't get that. Say goodbye. Please let me cut down the tree. Please let me finish cutting down this tree. I cut down the tree, and I broke my axe at the same time. I broke my first tool. Let's freaking go. I lost my tools. Got an issue because now we don't have a axe. Until tomorrow. Oh, we got chicken. I'm just collecting random things I can find.
Hmm.
Have you ever been to the other side of Australia, Minerva? Yes, I have been to the other side of Australia a few times now. I'm actually planning on going to the ACT. Not the ACT, goodness. Not ACT, we don't go to the ACT. I'm planning to go to Melbourne next year for some family members, like special events in the family. So yeah, I am planning on coming to Melbourne. Hey Rose, could you please come and find me?
Where are you? Are you over there?
North. Yeah, I'm north a bit.
I'm on my way.
Thank you. I want you to pick up an old sign.
Why me specifically?
My inventory's full. And I need you to pick it up.
Oh my god.
That's literally it. I was just like, I can't collect it. Rose, help me.
I'm coming. I'm coming. Coming. I'm coming.
You're taking your time.
Oh, yeah, I was all the way south. What do you want from me?
Oh.
I feel like we gotta invest in some crates because I think. Are you still carrying around all the things that I
Yep.
dropped? Or
And
yeah.
goodbye. 10 years. Got a random spam message of going like the. Thank you. The random spam of going like, go to streambo.com. What is so obsessive with these bots in Streambo? That's my next question.
Well, the owners just bought out a bajillion bots and then, you know.
Oh. So you're basically just being annoying.
Yes. 'Cause here's the thing. They don't expect you to fall for their scam. They're just trying to like spread as like wide as possible just to find like the one person who will fall for it, and then that's pretty much all they need.
So they're pigs.
Yeah. But this is how all scams work. Like those Discord scams as well, they're not meant to target people who don't know any better.
We have a sawmill. We have a sawmill. Do we want to make some bridges? Do we want to start making bridges and like connecting up the island a bit? If I look.
Well, it still wants me to convince John to stay, so I don't...
But I mean, we can do multiple things at once, Rose. Like we can start
True.
with a bunch of things. Like I could make some bridges so we could get to different parts of this place easily. For example, I could get to that mini island to the side. No pun intended there. Make a joke and I will kill you. It's a joke. But then also when we get like a lot of like things, we could just like, I don't know. We'd have the equipment.
Why are they selling things for so much fucking... Like, oh yeah, I got 3 carrots. I'm gonna make you pay more than 800 things. Like, yes, thanks, Bessie.
You got 5 tin ore. I've been wanting 5 tin ore. How does 150 sound? No. I'm not selling you. I'm not selling you 5 tin ore for 150 when I know you would sell me the smelted version for a few thousand. And we've got this
Going
sawmill.
silly mode.
Hey Rose, you want food?
Chad.
We've got you. Would you like a white yabby or a chicken drumstick? Yabby is like lobster. And hello, Booskaboo. We've got a Booska. Would
Oh
you
my
like the cooked
god.
drumstick or would you like a lobster?
I'll go for the drumstick.
Drumstick's already cooked. It is over here behind you. I'm gonna eat the thing that
Whoa.
I'm highly allergic to and could kill me.
Ah, fun. That doesn't sound dangerous at all.
Definitely not. Num num num. Oh, and you get an achievement for eating something cooked. Yay! Booska, I don't think we're supposed to be saying yay to death. Booska just wrote in chat, yay death. Damn, dude. Okay, we can sleep if you want. Do you want to sleep or leave it for now?
Sure.
We could
No,
technically
I
actually
can...
bring... It's a little nifty little thing. It's a nifty little thing, damn. Do you have a crude furnace? Did you ever make one?
I made one, but it didn't say... I sold it, but I didn't like make one that say...
Okay. We'll sleep till tomorrow. Just to get some progress. Did you say ready to sleep properly? Yeah, there we go.
I was waiting for you.
Oh. By the way, Booska, how are you going? We're trying to do a cheeky extra stream, Booska, currently. To see if we can quickly, like, viewership goes up on stream. Also, my thing is saying that I've got 9 people in my chat, like 9 people watching. But when I look at like the numbers of people, there's not 9 people. I don't know what Twitch is counting. So, interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know. Say 7 people for
7
me.
people.
Yeah, like for some reason, for 1 second it says 7, then the next second it might say like 9, then like 2, then whatever. It's never accurate. Twitch is not accurate in the slightest.
Is owned a bot you use? Because it does say there's a chat bot in here.
There is a chat bot. That's
Bots invited by the broadcast to assist with info and information. Okay, yeah, no, fair enough.
Owned is the one that does the caption, which is so inaccurate. It does the caption that is so highly inaccurate, which I hate, but I'll format it at some point.
It's
What, Rose?
you know.
Oh!
It can't handle
Bloody
the
hell.
LZ.
Thanks, Sandon, for the follow. Thank you for the follow. Oh, thank you. Oh, that actually scared me. Hearing the big ping noise in my ear. Oh, well, thank you for the follow, Andon. Teehee. Oh, I can just give her cooked lime. Fletch wanted something to eat, so I'm just giving her a cooked lime. Look at that. Bush lime. Always helping me out. Here's a reward, please take it. I got meat on a stick.
Did you already convince John to move in? Because I physically, like, it doesn't give me the option to...
What? It doesn't even let me in. It's kicking me out of the tent!
Oh, what the hell?
It was just fully... Try to get in. Like, enter the tent. Do you need anything? I think flies are in the pine forest this time of year. Do you think you can catch a fly? Yes. Were you able to talk to him at all?
I can talk to him, it just doesn't give me the option to, like, ask him to stay.
No, you don't ask him to stay. You ask him if he needs anything. Basically, complete favors for John, spend items, basically convincing him I want to stay. You don't ask him straight up, do you want to stay in Idiot Isle? You have to convince him
Well, I've already
through gesture.
I've already
So,
com- I've already completed favors for John. It just needs me to
today?
spend dinks or sell items, and convince him to move in. Those are the two things I still need to do, and it doesn't let me do them.
Well, spend money, buy something at the shop. Have you got money?
Yeah.
So complete the task with John. I'm clear finding a fly because he wants a fly.
Yeah, I bought a pickaxe. Let me see if I can. See if Yeah, I just bought an axe, but it still didn't do the thing.
Maybe it's because I need to as well.
No.
Give me a second. I'll come back and I'll buy a pickaxe or whatever it offers me. Give. Thank you. Also, I'm gonna grab some more tin while I'm at it because we need tin. Like, there's a lot of tin we need in the early game.
Fair enough. You're still hungry, baby. Baby.
Shh.
Meow 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 meow.
Meow 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 meow.
Meow.
Meow 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 meow.
Yeah,
My
you
goodness.
wah wah wah. Wah wah wah.
Wah, wah, wah.
Hmm?
My goodness.
Wah wah wah. Oh, you're stuck now.
Oh. Your cat has been imprisoned. She's done it. Rose has finally gone crazy. Yes, Andon. Yes, she has. Did we even need to assume that she'd finally gone crazy? Wasn't she already crazy?
Wah
A little bit?
wah wah wah.
Wah, wah, wah.
Oh,
See,
you're
let me
annoyed,
see.
huh? Like a car.
I want to chat.
So
This is for you. You
yeah,
bought the
yeah. What
you
is
bought
that?
the axe.
Yeah.
Okay, I got money. Okay, does it say it's done now? The complete favors for John.
That was already completed. That's what I'm trying to say. It wants me to spend money, and I have.
Oh, so it's not even ticking that. Wait.
Yeah.
Oh. Basic pick. I'll take it. So I bet. Let's try. John, talk to me. Sell goods. What do you want to buy? Muscle. I want to sell these insects. I'll sell the flowers. I'll sell Rupu. 12,000. Sell. Okay, now it registers. Okay, it registered. So sell something to John instead of buying something. Okay, let's see.
Yeah.
Okay,
It
I've
still
literally...
didn't.
No, I talked to him. Spoken to Fletch. He's asked if he can move in. So new deed is now available to talk to Fletch.
Huh.
And also we have... We have an investigation request, by the way. And a crafting request. Do you want to go for the investigation quickly? It's on the other side of the island.
Sure.
Because this will get us a few little nice goodies. Where are you? Rose?
Hmm?
Where'd you
Sorry.
go?
What's up?
Where'd you go? Where are
I'm
you?
I'm over.
Oh, there you are.
I'm like right behind you.
then. Okay. We have to go this way. Do you see the like blue question mark? Like the blue question mark on the map?
Yes.
Yes. That is where we're
Yes.
going. Ooh. Don't mind if I do.
I'm just
Thank you,
hoping that once
compost.
you convince him to stay, that it carries
Oh,
over to
he's
me as
already
well.
when you do it, you talk to him. Talk to him, and he'll say, "I've been convinced to move. I've already applied. I've asked Fletch so I can apply for a deed, and they'll say the deed is available." So you literally just talk to him.
Let's see. John, don't let me down now. Welcome to John's Goods. How can I help?
Let's chat.
What's new?
I got some meat, some food, because the dogs like killing the local wildlife. Does he tell you that he's convinced to move?
No.
Huh. That's odd. He's told me. So we'll apply the deed. We'll pay off the bulletin board and then apply for the deed that lets us get John a shop. We get the materials and build the shop, and then he'll be able to move in officially. Maybe that will accept your quest. They'll accept it.
I hope.
Maybe? I don't know.
Perhaps.
Found it. Found the Santa.
Oh.
Gosh dang it. I broke my pickaxe.
Oh.
Takes a second to break. Especially when you've not got the best tools. It takes a second! Broken. Oh!
Investigation
Okay.
request complete.
You'll like what I got.
Oh, joy.
I've got a spare pickaxe now.
Silly.
Yeah. The new one's even better. These trees are really low. There's an eel. There's lots of fish in this mangrove, which is really good. Oh, there's some coral as well. Oh, and a shark. That's wonderful. Yeah, this is the wonderful world of Dinkum, Rose.
Silly.
Yeah, you signed up for this. You signed up
Wow.
for these.
Did I now?
Yeah. It won't let me. It won't let me stuff my face with food. Let me eat. Rude.
Oh.
Okay, that's the. Diggos. You've got some cute diggos. You've seen all the generic diggos. I'm gonna say if you notice any of them look a bit different, point it out because we need to quickly capture it. Because that is a rare diggo.
If what looks different?
The diggos, the
Oh.
dogs. Because there's a rare variety. And it's like a 1 in 5,000 chance that some will spawn that day. So like, if you spot them, notify. Because they're
Okay.
good. And just the
Okay.
different looking dogs. For example, like they've got like a poodle, a German Shepherd, a blue heeler.
Oh.
Like
Mm-hmm.
we can get Bluey. We can get Bluey in this game.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. A little bit silly. Ah! Frick, I set myself on fire. Do you want some cooked food? I watched a diggo kill a chicken. Well, turkeys. There you go.
Oh. So I'm just eating fucking
Dead,
wild
dead animals?
stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, of course, but I mean like someone else's hunt, or is this just one that you had spare?
No, this is the diggo's hunt. The diggo just didn't pick it up quick enough, so I took it. Oh, and we've also got
Oh.
now. We've got a festive
Uh-huh.
pole.
Whoa.
Uh,
That's
yeah.
not not shaped at all.
Huh?
Nothing.
That's not what's shaped at all?
Don't worry about it.
Rose.png, say that again.
Oh, look, the tin finished cooking, smelting.
Rose.png! I want to damn well murder you. What the hell did you say? I guess you don't light up my world.
I think Jade
Apparently,
knows.
yeah, Jade knows apparently. So I'm just being left out of a... Damn, I'm just being left out and ignored. I'm not loved or appreciated in this
Well, you're
group. Clearly I'm not loved or appreciated.
You can't guilt trip me over a stupid joke I made. Don't try on yourself.
I was getting food and selling, making money. I'm actually trying to make this
Wow.
household work. Thank you. Oh no. Just the blue mussel. $7.99? Sure. Did we do a request for John? Want to chat? Oh, what do you want to chat about? Got a job for me? Nah, I'm all good. Okay, so we have completed John's request. Fletch, talkie. Do you need anything? Let's see. Got a job for me? Nah, I'm all good for now. Cool. We've got debts. Did you put a few cents towards the debt, or did you pay the debt in full?
No, I didn't either.
Oh, because it was meant to be 10,000, but it was $9,998 left. Let's talk about the town. What exactly do you want to talk about? Can I see the deeds? Okay, here are our current deeds, which is a shop deed for John. Okay, so John is gonna want that. 75k in debt. We'll pay it off in no time. There is a donation box in the base tent. We know this already, thank you. Let's do it, because then John can get a shop.
Wow.
Rose, I'm gonna... Stop, shut up, Fletch. Rose.png. Come with me.
Hi.
Would you like an important job?
Sure.
I can't get rid of it! Damn it, I can't place it! I was gonna give it to you so you could try to place it somewhere. Do you want to pick where to put John's shop? By the looks of it, you're gonna have to show me where you want it.
Let's see.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know it did this. Oh, that's cool! Do you know what I'm seeing?
Yeah. I have your stream open on my second monitor.
I didn't know it did that! I
It
didn't
would
know
be
that
really
did.
funny if I just put it somewhere far away, but I won't. So it would be stupid. But it would be really
Like,
funny.
I didn't know it did that, where you just see it like that. That's so cool.
I mean, do you want to just like put it on the sand here, just 'cause funny?
But where on the sand? Do you want it facing any direction in particular? Like here?
Have it face our house, I guess.
Have it face our house? What? Have it sit
Yeah.
like right behind our house and like right here?
Mhm.
Like this?
I mean, if it's an option,
It is an option to put it like right where I'm standing, facing towards our
that would
house,
be
like it's
really
like
funny.
lined up behind. You want John's top to be there. Like, are you seeing out my stream?
Yeah, I'm seeing it.
If you want it to be like that. Oh, hello.
Yes.
I saw a ping. I
Yeah,
heard a
he's here.
ping.
Oh, Lyric's here.
Oh, hello, Lyric. What the heck? Hi. I thought you were already following Lyric. I saw you were already following. What the heck? Or did you unfollow to refollow to make a ping? I swore you were following. Hi, yes, I am, but it's a second account. Ah. You've got a second account. Cheeky. Cheeky. Restart. Okay, should we make this
What, are you
easier for you
ban
to use?
evading? What's happening, Lyric?
That actually is a good question. Are you ban evading? Well, we've not banned her. You're a priority for following. Oh, never banned. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. When did I ban
I'm sorry.
you?
The way.
Always and never. What the heck? Oh, it's Oh my gosh! Now I just realized. This is Lyric XXL. There's the other account is Lyric AXXL. So it's actually just moved the L bit to like the A is in front of the XX. I just realized that. I read it as Lyric XXL, like your usual account name. Thank you for following with your alt. Okay, so are we putting this here, bros? Anyway. Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, we're doing that. John's needs building materials to start reconstruction. Place items. We need palmwood, oakwood. No, palmwood.
Blah, 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 blah. So,
Wanting to hit you with my mind. We're wanting
why?
gumwood. 15 gumwood. I can get the gumwood. Do you have an axe? Please tell me you have an axe.
I do, yes.
Okay, I want you to go get some palm trees and cut them down, so you know where like the bananas are.
Yeah.
Just cut down a bunch of them, please, because it means you get that's how we'll get the palm wood, and then
Mm.
I can work on everything else. Like the nails are pretty easy, and then the tin, like I can get that pretty quickly.
I have 8 nails on me right now.
Okay, then I can make another 8, and then we'll be done with the nails.
I'm also just gonna. Can I not? No, okay.
What are you trying to do?
I was trying to cut a different tree, but it wouldn't let me.
Which tree? I'm assuming I know which immediately. It's gonna be those like pine trees.
Yeah.
That would you can
Palm
try.
tree seed.
Oh, the plumpy seed? Did you just say?
Palm.
Plum.
Palm tree.
Oh, palm tree seeds.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, that is a thing. Okay. I have everything minus the nails. And the palm wood.
Grab these bananas real quick. Get myself
What would you do with
some of
yourself?
the stamina back. I said I'm gonna grab these bananas real quick.
It didn't sound like you said that. I got very nervous for a second.
What did you think I said?
I heard I'm gonna K myself.
No.
Storage barrels.
I only
You only what?
Thursdays.
Did you say you only say that on Thursdays?
I'm being stupid. Don't worry about it. How much palm logs do you need?
Just get a bunch of palm logs and come back. We need 15. We need 10 palm planks. And then construction will start at John's pretty quickly. And then we'll have a wide range of things, including a lot of food options occasionally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Lyric, fun little fact. If I get the average of 3 viewers for this entire stream, Lyric, I will get affiliate. I will be able to get paid for doing this silly content online.
Just don't expect to get paid right away because you need to
Oh,
get
no,
to like.
No, I know. It's like 50 USD initially, and then you
Yeah.
can get your first payment. I know about that. But it's the
Okay,
fact
just
of
making sure.
opportunity to get paid.
Yeah.
It's more what I'm stating. It's like
Yeah.
that's something.
Yeah.
And also I can unlock
Alright, I
fun
have
little
25
things.
now.
Like we can unlock fun new
Alright,
things, like getting emotes. Teehee? My little guy wants to fall asleep currently. So eepy. Oh, that way. Duh. Da-ba-da. Da-ba-da, da-ba-da. Whee! Whee! Whee!
Oh, we're actually pretty close.
Ah! Hit the dog!
Why would you do that?
It was an accident. I was meant to hit the termite nest. It was an accident. I swear. That was an accident. I was meant to hit the termite nest and I hit the damn dog. Minnie, when she gets affiliate, drowning in money. Shower of money.
Real.
Honestly, Jade, if I got paid for this somehow consistently, it'd be my first consistent paying job. I'm not even kidding. Because people are annoying sometimes. Rose, where are you? Hello. Guten Tag.
I'm at
Wie
the.
geht's?
Uh-huh.
Can I please have your... No, I don't want that. Go away. Go away. I want this.
Well, I'm getting the planks.
Yeah, you got the planks. Can I please have the nails? Can I have the nails, please? Just chuck them. Thank you. I'll go make that. Thank you.
Squippy.
Whee! 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 Wait, no, we don't go to the shop. Why am I going over here? Wait, what? No, we go to the... Do not make anything. We're not making something. We're putting it in the box. We're not making anything. Put it in the box. Boop, 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 boop. Place items. All the required materials are there. Construction will begin tomorrow. Yay! Yay!
Yippee.
Yay! Ooh! There's a pearl.
It is
The
becoming
pearls are in my
nighttime.
inventory. This is the pearls.
Whoa.
Oh, they're shiny. They're really shiny. Okay, let me come back. I'm going back to shore now.
Is Fletch blushing?
Yeah, Fletch does that sometimes.
Um,
Theodore does it more when we unlock him. Got a tiger prawn.
13,000? Hello.
4?
Was the price too high, you think?
What was she trying to sell you? You couldn't even see though.
Bright
You can.
wire.
Oh gosh. Also, do you, look at these. Do you know what lyrics stated? After I showed off
What?
the pearls, we could even state they
Uh-huh.
were pearlescent.
Whoa. Whoa.
Got a job for me. Did I complete a job for her? I might have already completed the job for her. I don't need to track that anymore. I got some Rupu and some more Rupu and some more Rupu. I got a lot of
Whoa.
Rupu.
Wow.
A Diggo!
Silly.
Okay, I'm gonna check because I do place items. No, I don't have any of the items currently. Nope. There's a stingray!
Wow.
I want that. Do we have fishing license? Do you have a fishing license or do I? Let's see.
I have food on me? No, I don't.
What's up? A lot of different ecosystems. If I remember correctly, my old home is located near the northwest or maybe southeast. I'll tell you what, I remember. I'll let you know. Okay, do we want to cook and then call it a night, potentially?
Sure.
Also, the bottle tree wood, like the hollow things that
Uh-huh.
I've got here, they can
Uh-huh.
also make hardwood without getting like the more advanced like the more advanced axe, because you need a better axe.
Ah.
So it takes a long time
Mm-hmm.
to mine these down, but it still does it.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the good ingredients do require things like that. So bedtime, eepies, we go
Sure.
sleepy. Good.
Uh-huh.
Third bed. Sleep until tomorrow.
Bedtime.
It's for the ghosts of Christmas past.
Wow.
Okay. Hee. John isn't visiting, he's
Jonathan is
staying.
visiting.
Look at the construction, Rose. Look at that. Wow.
Wow.
Okay, we have
Do you happen to have like a singular food item on you? I kind of need it.
cooked
Uh, just anything. Food.
prawn. We have a new jackaroo thing. Let's chat. Do you got a job for me? Oh, you have a logging license. Think you can help? 4 gumwood planks. It would really help me out. I'd do it. I already got them.
Oh, now he doesn't want food anymore.
Hmm?
I guess he doesn't want food anymore. I'll eat it myself. Fuck you too then.
Oh gosh. He likes meat. He doesn't like fruit salad either.
Collect 6 palm logs.
Oh gosh. Rose. Do you want to see what I just got?
Oh yeah, I can see it on stream. Damn.
Edumacation! Look at that,
Wow.
edumacation! We're gonna have furniture in our
Shit.
house before we even know what to do with it. Look at that. It's going through the wall, but we can't see that on the other side. Because of course.
Oh.
That makes sense. We've got so much stuff.
Of course.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. John! Can we talk to you? John. I want to chat, mate. Do you got a job for me? Painted lady butterfly. Gosh dang it. Painted lady butterfly, and I'll take it. I'm hoping you have equipment, Rose, because I'm buying equipment for myself.
Oh.
You know, what licenses do I not have?
Evil birds.
Oh, do you have the cassowaries on you?
Yes.
I have a logging license. Let me buy the damn axe. Dude. He didn't let me buy the axe. Fishing license, logging, hunting. I'm gonna get a hunting license because that's pretty useful.
I have so many palm seeds right now.
Nice. Oh. Apply for a license. Tool belt, landscape, building, vehicle. I can start looking at vehicles. Honestly, where's the other license? Tool belt. Trapping? Trapping's useful. Start trapping animals and like using that to our advantage. Metal detecting, handling, tool belt, landscaping. Tool belt. I'm just getting the licenses because they're silly.
Fair enough.
And because I've got 250 left, I got a handling license. That means when Erwin comes in, we can get some things, animals. Get some animals.
Wow.
Okay, where is this?
Just like animals.
Okay, cool.
Wait, there's another sign over here.
There's no there's no sign. Okay, I'm gonna go southwest. Yeah, southwest. Because there is another one of those question mark places. I think I'm gonna also dump some of my things at our base camp because, well, probably smarter to leave it behind.
I got some more raw meat.
Yay! See, we're just scavenging what we can get from the lands. And I'm currently going to go get whatever is in that little baggie. Because the more baggies we collect over Christmas, so basically during December is the event, is that the bags will appear, like Santa's bags, and you can collect whatever's inside them. So for example, I got like a Christmas pickaxe, like a special pickaxe, which is actually a level 2 pickaxe, as well as a bunch of other things. So, like, pretty
John
good
just
early
gave me a
game.
kitchen island.
I'm sorry, he gave you a kitchen island?
Yeah, like that's like a table, you know?
I want to see this when I get back. But Lyric, I need you at some point to get this game because it's really fun. And I think you would like this game. Oi. call it the peacock butterfly. Peacock butterfly? Peacock spider. Goodness. Yes, Lyric, I think you would like this game. So at one point you need to get it. Because then I can show you what it's like, because it's fun. And as you know, in a personal world, I have a chicken named Lyric. I'm now realizing I'm going to have 2 chickens named Lyric in the my solo public Dinkum world. The stream No Clue Isle. SCR No Clue Isle. I have like a chicken named Mrs. Stuff and then it goes through followers. Oh gosh. So I'm going to have Lyric XXL and then Lyric ALXXL.
Silly.
Lyric Axel. That's silly. Yeah. I know. I want to find a way to display these signs because they're pretty cool. Like, don't you agree? They're cool.
Yeah.
I want to, like, display them on a wall or something. I don't think we can, though, sadly. But, whatever. Oh, I gotta
I
show
think
you
my
what
quest is genuinely bugged.
Oh.
Like, I've been
Why?
spending money and selling him shit, and it's
Oh, it's
not
still
doing
saying
the
that
thing.
for you?
Yeah, like, it resets every day, but it just, like, it's just
It's still
not...
saying to you that you need to try to get John to move in. Okay, so it's a
Yeah.
bit buggy when we're playing duo. Wait, I think with
Clearly.
early game, I think eventually that will just go away. Hopefully. You can hope.
Hopefully. I mean, probably if I just, like, played this game on my own, get through the starting bits, it will probably be fine, but...
Yeah,
You know.
but also it's probably buggy because we're both playing together. And it's probably like, wait, hang on. You haven't done it, but this person has. The heck?
Yeah.
Diggos.
Yeah.
So many diggos. Oh, you're just the ordinary diggos. You can go away. You're not unique. Okay, I've got a crocodile over here. I want to see, is this correct? Hey! Yes, it is.
Wow.
The Christmas pickaxe lets me break things early. So that unlocks a lot of mining opportunities early game before you even have the mining license for it. There's a crocodile.
Crocodile?
Crocodile? Not a crocodile sits in a gum tree. That's a kookaburra. A kookaburra sits in the old gum tree. That guy's merry. The kookaburra's merry. The crocodile, I think he'd kill me. Quite happily, to be fair. Let me have this. Also, I love that it's making noise. Like, it makes a dingling noise. Dingling? Twinkling. We have Santa's thing. Let's see what it gives us, Rose.
Let's have a gander.
What are we gonna get? Ooh! Goodness gracious me.
Do you need me to come over?
Maybe. Let me... this can be placed. I can just wear those. To here. I can wear a jolly beard. Do you want a beard?
No.
Whoa!
It's kind of the worst person to ask.
Sorry.
You're fine. I just think it's kind of funny.
I'm just like, do you
Like,
want a beard or
yes,
do you want elf
let's
ears?
like, yes, let's ask the person trying to actively not have a beard if they want a beard.
I'm a bit of a silly one. As you can kind of
Yeah,
see. Took a
I
gander.
gathered that, yeah.
You can take a gander and pretty easily see that. I can get rid of the poop.
Jade wants the beard. Listen,
You want
buy the
beard?
game, get on the world, you can get the beard.
Jade has already got the game.
I'll load up the game then, I don't know.
Bye. If you want to join us, Jade, just let us know. Like, you want to join? Just, like, I don't know. Load up the game. Join us. Join us in the festive Australian wonderland. Okay, do you want the elf ears? I'll wear the beard. Unless Jade wants.
Okay.
I'll wear the beard happily.
Oh my god. I think I was going in the wrong direction, so I gotta head back.
Oh my gosh. I've not shown my stream what the Minerva looks like with a beard. Oh, there's a crocodile. You get to be the first to take a gander and see me with a beard. I can't take that up.
Oh, there you are, I'm to your left. Oh god. Oh my god.
Pick that up and you can wear the elf ears.
Wow. Oh no, that's logs. Wow. Silly.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, people. I have a beard. Well, for now, unless Jade gets on and then Jade can have the beard. Oh, look at this.
I mean,
Oh,
he
Jade.
did just say okay, so
If you want the beard, Jade, get on. You'll have the beard. You're more than welcome to it. It's silly. Fight.
the dog is fighting the crocodile.
I know. And then we get food.
The
It killed
dog
the croc!
won. Yoink.
Hey, doggy. Here, you can have this as a little reward. Here, have that, puppy. There's your reward. I don't think the puppy's gonna eat
Oh, Jade said, okay, let me in.
Let you in. Have you got the game loaded?
As he